So in this video, I'm going to finish the digestive system, kind of going over the models with you. So we have first looking at the liver here. Um, so what you can see is there's going to be four lobes of the liver. So you can see there's one on this side, there's one on this side, there's one right here, and then there's one up here. So first is going to be this side over here. So this large side is going to be the right lobe of the liver. It's large. You can kind of see comes around and is very large on the other side. So you have a right lobe and then you have a left lobe. These two are going to be different. So this is your left lobe, kind of wraps around. So you can see that left lobe. Then you're looking at the two separate ones. So here down by the gallbladder, we'll show you the gallbladder next. That's kind of like a little square right here. So that is your quadrate lobe. So you have left, you have right, you have quadrate. Now, unfortunately, this one sounds pretty similar. So now we're getting down here, and that is your caudate lobe. It's right here. So quadrate, caudate. So how do you tell the difference? So right, you can say is the gallbladder's on the right. So you remember right on there. Left is over here. Quadrate looks like a square, but I remember caudate is associated with the inferior vena cava. So C, cava, caudate. So that's kind of how it associates. I already mentioned it, gallbladder, this guy right here. Once we get down to the tube, it's going to be a different structure, but right here is going to be the gallbladder. Tube structure coming off the gallbladder, kind of coming in and connecting, is going to be your cystic duct. So you say kind of this is a sac or a cyst. Then we have two kind of branches. Let me find them. So right here, you can see two little branches coming out of the liver. This one's longer, this one's shorter, but you can see the two little ones right there that are separate from the cystic duct. So it's literally, see if I can point with this right here and this one. Those are your hepatic ducts. That's where bile is being made and draining down into. So then it can go into storage with the gallbladder or it can go continue on. So that's the hepatic ducts. We'll see a common hepatic duct in the next model that we look at. Then this guy showing you here, this model, is a combination between the cystic duct and the hepatic ducts, or the common hepatic duct, and it's coming down. That's going to be where we saw the bile duct in the pancreas model. So you'll see that is the bile duct. So it's where it comes all together and leads down to the pancreas area to the hepatopancreatic sphincter. Now this white line here is going to be a ligament, and it's called the falciform ligament. And falciform ligament helps attach the liver to the anterior portion of the abdomen, because the liver kind of sits like this. So that can help come, you see the little string right here, it's come forward or anterior and help attach to the anterior part of the abdomen. All right, so gallbladder. Now we're going to look at this model. So it's going to be the same thing, same four lobes. On this model, again, remember the gallbladder's on the right side. It's between the quadrate and the right lobe. So this over here is going to be your left lobe, falciform ligament. So that is your left lobe, this section here. This again, part close to the vena cava. So vena cava. This is your caudate. This is again gallbladder, and all of this is associated and is on the right side. So that's going to be your right lobe. And between the falciform ligament and the gallbladder, this square section right here is going to be your quadrate lobe. Same structures, just different models. So this is still going to be your gallbladder. You just see some blood vessels on top. These, looking at them, so here, this section and this section right here, these are your hepatic ducts. So again, bile is being made by the liver and being transferred this way. Then this is off of your gallbladder. So this is the cystic duct here. And then, like I said, you can't really see it on the last model, but you can see on this one. So this is a hepatic duct. This is a hepatic duct. Just this little tiny section right here is called your common hepatic duct. So hepatic ducts join together to the common hepatic duct. And the cystic duct and the common hepatic duct join together. You can't see it, but it's kind of coming at you, pointing at you. This little end right here is going to be your bile duct. So the cystic duct and the common hepatic duct join together to make the bile duct. See there. Same thing that we saw, a big white line between the quadrate and the left lobe is going to be your falciform ligament. So I don't have that model next to me, but same thing. This is just showing you the beginning of the small intestine. So this is the first section of it that's coming off the stomach. The pyloric sphincter is leading into this area. So this is called the duodenum or duodenum. You might hear it both ways. So all of this is the beginning of the small intestine. There are ridges in the duodenum that you can see. So all the bumpy ridges that you can see in this section of the duodenum, that's called the circular folds. They're permanent. They help with mixing. So they can help with stirring up with digestive enzymes that are coming in from the pancreas and bile that's coming in that can help circulate. Next. So kind of still looking at, we saw the beginning of the small intestine. A majority of the middle part of the intestine is called the jejunum. So all of this middle section, not coming off, the duodenum is pretty short. So you can see the duodenum is coming right here that you can see off of the stomach duodenum. It's not a long piece. It's coming down the right side of your body. But then most of the intestine is jejunum, the longest part. The yellow film that you can see on the model, it may be hard to see on here, but you can see better on the picture. Then you see yellow tissue that's in between the jejunum. That's if you pick up the intestine, you separate it, there is tissue that covers the jejunum and kind of flattens that helps with blood vessels and nerves and circulation to come to the intestine and also hold it in place. And it's called mesentery. So jejunum is the actual intestinal part. Mesentery is the tissue film that's in between it that I'll show you on a picture coming up. So same thing, jejunum. Then we have, so coming down the exiting part of the small intestine, so all jejunum, but then we're getting to this little small part. That is called the ilium, and not the ilium that's in your hip pelvis bone. That's going to be spelled with an E instead of ILIUM, it's ILEUM. So that's your ilium. That's part of your small intestine, the exit to go to the large intestine, which we'll talk about next. So this is just showing you, this picture is just showing you on kind of this side is going to show you the omentum. Remember, this is the greater omentum here. Lesser omentum is going to be up here. So lesser omentum is between the stomach, the lesser curvature of the stomach and the liver. The greater omentum is between off of the greater curvature and kind of a curtain in front of the small intestine. You take that off and then you can look at this side. So then you can look at this side, where this is what I mean. When you take the jejunum, you have tissue that's kind of in between the small intestine that blood vessels and nerves are going through to get to the small intestine. That is the mesentery. So, and you're going to see mesocolon too. So there's mesentery that's between the small intestine, and you're seeing mesocolon kind of all attaching, that we'll see on models, at least one section, and that's going to be mesocolon. So now this is going to look at this model right here. And this is a microscopic model of the small intestine. So this is what we're looking at here. So first layer is going to be this bottom layer right here. So pretty much the outside that you can see here. I just didn't get a good picture of it, so you can't see it as much on the picture. But that is your first area, and that is your serosa. Serosa. And then we're just looking at layers. So you can see this is one layer, and then you're gonna see this is a layer, this is a layer, and then this is a layer. So we're gonna see different layers. So this section is your muscular coat. So you're gonna see longitudinal muscle under the serosa and circular muscle here. So this is going to be a lot of what peristalsis is occurring, contracting and smooth muscle here. So coat. Then this right here section, you can see larger blood vessels, lymphatics, all of those things are going to be, that's the submucosa right here. Then when you're coming above, and these are the villi, which we'll go over, that's your mucosa. So you have submucosa is here. You have mucosa, muscular coat, serosa. So I already mentioned it. So we have villi, and then on the cells, you have microvilli. You just can't see them here. So these extensions, projections are villi. Then you can see this line that goes across that separates the mucosa from the submucosa. You can see this line that matches the kind of color of the muscular coat. This is the muscularis mucosae. So it's another muscular layer to help stabilize in the villi. So the majority of the movement is going to happen in the muscular coat, but we have another layer of smooth muscle that's going to be, again, separating the mucosa from the submucosa. Now we're looking at one individual villi. Let's come closer. So we see each one of the cells, can look at each one of the cells that don't have the blue dot. Every one of those is going to be simple columnar epithelial with microvilli. So you can't really see it, but that's the epithelial tissue of the small intestine. Simple columnar. So it is a column, it's tall, and you can't see them, but they're microvilli. And that's the majority of the cells that you see. Then with the blue dots, so again, that's a goblet cell. Let's see if I can. So each without anything is the simple columnar um, with microvilli. This is going to be with the blue is a goblet cell making mucus. That's what goblet cells do. Then covering, that's this guy right here. So you can see all the red and intertwine. That is going to be blood capillaries. So you can see all those. This right here that dips down, so these are microvilli that are going up. These that are dipping down are going to be intestinal crypts. So they go down into the ground. So crypt kind of buried, it's going to be down. A lot of times that's where stem cells are, and they're going to kind of move up the villi. Now we're looking at this. You can see more kind of blood vessels here. So you can see more capillaries, you know, over here. So you can see more blood supply. But the green is going to be different. So those are blood capillaries as well. And then you can see here is a lacteal. So the green is the lacteal inner part. That again is part of the lymphatic system, so it follows down, and that's part of fat or lipid digestion. So that's where fats are absorbed in the lymphatic system. Still coming back to this model. So now we have gone from the jejunum, duodenum's up here, jejunum, ileum is right here. We have a little valve or sphincter that's coming down. So you can see how where it narrows and kind of comes down and enters. That is your ileocecal sphincter or valve. So you can name it either way. So it's either sphincter or valve, because again, same thing. It's going to be transitioned from the small intestine to the large intestine. So we're controlling how much is coming into the large intestine until it's ready. And that's going to be this narrowing sphincter right here. If you go through the sphincter and you go kind of south, that is called your cecum. So this is kind of a blind-ended pouch just off the ileum in the large intestine. So most often you're going to go north and you go up here, but there is a blind-ended pouch. So this right here is your cecum. And then off the cecum, you see this little finger-like extension right here. That is called your vermiform appendix. So vermiform or just appendix is this right here. So that's when you hear if you have appendicitis and all of a sudden pain in the lower right quadrant, the lower right side, that's going to be most often associated with the appendix being inflamed, and that's this guy right here. There's immune kind of tissue in that area as well, but we can take it out and be fine. So now we're looking at going the parts of the colon, and it's named based on the direction it's going. So it comes in the ileum and it actually goes up. So it's going superior here. That is your ascending colon. Or in the large intestine, we call it colon. So that's that guy right here. Then we make a turn. It's a flexure. And we make a turn, we go this way. And so that is going across or a transverse plane. So that's your transverse colon is going across. So you go ascending and then you go transverse, you go across. Then you go down. That's where we're going to the exit for defecation. So you go transverse, you make another flexure, and you come down. So this is your descending because you're going down. D is for down, descending. So that's how it kind of travels. It goes up, ascending, across, and then descending. And then there's a less little piece that's kind of starts right here once you kind of flex it around and you're coming and it kind of curves around. So this section is called your sigmoid. Makes like an S. Sigmoid colon right here. So come in the ileocecal valve. This is a cecum, vermiform appendix, ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon. Another thing you can see, I mentioned it before, you can see these tissue that's coming and holding the transverse colon to posterior side. That is called your transverse because it's associated with the transverse colon. And remember we had mesentery, which is in between all the jejunum and small intestine. This is transverse mesocolon. So it's kind of holding and surrounding the colon that you can see. Other structures, and so this is looking, not pointing at the transverse colon, but you can see this line that goes all along the colon. You can see it over here. Mainly you can see the light here. That's called your tinea coli. So it's a band of tissue. It's going to kind of run the length of the large intestine or the colon. The tinea coli makes these pouches. So these individual pouches or bumpies that you see are called haustra. So the tinea coli actually brings tension and bunches the colon up to make these little pouches, bound pouches. And it's called haustra. Lastly, coming down to the exit. So this section right here is your rectum. So sigmoid colon to the rectum. Then we're getting towards the exit, the anus. So just where you see kind of these areas, which are the anal columns, you can see this little section right before the anus, separating the rectum and the actual anus, is called your anal canal. So it's just kind of right here, this section, rectum, and then anal canal with the anal columns, and then anus. Be there. The last thing is surrounding the anus, controlling defecation. We have two muscular pieces. So the inner one that's associated right around the anal canal, the inner piece right here is the involuntary one. And so it's smooth muscle and it's involuntary, and that's your internal anal sphincter. So that has to open for defecation. Then you can see these guys right here on the outside. So you have internal, and then you're going to have voluntary one. So that's where you decide for defecation right here. So external anal sphincter, internal anal sphincter, anal canal, anus, rectum. It's going to be that side. So that's everything for the digestive system. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, your practical is next week.